Hello, ghouls, and welcome to the 37th episode of the Shrouded in Darkness podcast, where we shine a light on the cases that the world forgot. This is your true crime obsessed host, Marlena, and I hope you are having the best start to your week. I usually jump straight into things, but I think we're due for a check-in. So how are you? How's life? What are we looking forward to? My family is probably the busiest we've ever been. I have my Monday through Friday office job, and my husband started his own snack company called Three Bears Snacks, where we specialize in freeze-dried and dehydrated treats. And boy, are we busy with weekend events. It's been an absolutely amazing adventure. Plus, I obviously have this podcast, and I can't believe we're almost at our 40th episode. I'm kind of proud of myself for sticking to it, but also, I have to be honest, I have really enjoyed diving deep into these cases, and some of the conversations these have started. It's been incredible. I really hope you've been enjoying the show too. Okay, now let's get into this. We'll start with our sources: the Catholic Voice, the Charley Project, and Then They Were Gone podcast. And today, I'm even adding Reddit to the list because we'll touch on a few things found specifically on their forums. Today's case takes us all the way to Omaha, Nebraska. Allow me to introduce you to Jason Anthony Jolkowski, born June 24th, 1981, in Grand Island, Nebraska, to Jim and Kelly Jolkowski. Jason is the oldest of two, and his younger brother is Michael. Jason is known as a smart and shy kid. He enjoys his small group of friends, never really partied or tried drugs or alcohol. Some reports show he had some minor learning disabilities, and although shy, it's said that he has quite the magnetic personality, especially when you get to know him. He's super dependable, never acts out, breaks the rules. He's an all-around good kid. Now, the year is 2001. Jason is living with his family in a quiet suburban-style neighborhood. He's 19 years old and a student at Iowa Western Community College. He's studying radio broadcasting. He loves sports and trivia and plans to one day work in broadcasting as soon as he graduates. I want to share a couple of notes on Jason's appearance. This isn't something we usually get into, but for this case, it's important, and you'll understand why later. Jason is 6'1". He weighs maybe 160 pounds, so he's tall and lanky, easy to see and hard to miss. At this time, Jason is working part-time at a local restaurant. I think it's called Fazoli's. And he'll be starting a new job soon, something that he was really looking forward to because it was going to be in the broadcasting industry. So it's some kind of like radio or DJ job. The date is June 13th. We find Jason at home with his brother Michael. His parents are both at work, and he's scheduled to work at the restaurant later that afternoon. I think his shift starts around 12. So his morning is a typical summer day. He wakes up and gets started on his household chores. Around 10 or so, his boss calls and asks him to come in early. Unfortunately, Jason's car is in the shop, and since neither of his parents are home, he has to find another ride to work. A co-worker agrees to give him a lift. I believe her name is Teresa. Now, Jason is not great with directions, so to make the whole thing easier, he agrees to meet Teresa at the local high school. It was called Benson High School. The school is maybe 8 blocks from Jason's home, so it's an easy walk, and it's one he was super familiar with. It would take maybe 10 minutes for him to walk from his home to the school. Only Jason never makes it to meet Teresa. Before we get any deeper, let's look at what we have in our timeline. It's very limited, but let's look at it. At 10:45, Jason is seen in his yard. He's moving trash bins. Possibly doing this with Michael, kind of helping move some stuff. And he was seen by a neighbor. At 10:50, he starts that walk to the school. 11 to 11:15, Teresa is at the school and waiting on Jason, but he's nowhere. This was a time when cell phones were not used frequently, so instead she goes to a nearby gas station to try and call. She calls Jason's home phone, speaks to Michael, and learns that Jason isn't there. As far as Michael knows, he was walking to the school just as planned. And Michael is a kid. I think he was maybe 13 years old at this time. He was not that concerned. It's not until later that day, when his parents get home from work, that they even learn he's missing. And that's not all, ghouls. Like so many others, Jim and Kelly are under the impression that you cannot report someone missing until 24 hours have passed. So it's not until June 14th, that following day, that Jason is reported as missing. Really quick, just want to say, if you ever are in this situation, and I pray you never are, but if you're ever in that situation, you totally can, report it as soon as you are aware. There are certain laws and certain protocols in place to help people, even if it's only been an hour or something. You have to reach out to authorities no matter what the circumstances are. If there's any kind of concern, please reach out. So now, back to the story. Now, the parents do reach out to friends and family beforehand. They were checking to see if anyone had heard from Jason, but no one had. And then, of course, like I said, the following day on the 14th is when they report him as missing. So bear in mind, Jason is 19 years old. He is legally an adult. So when Jim and Kelly go to report him as missing, the Omaha police aren't that worried. It actually takes another 9 days for the police to start investigating. Ghouls, this is 10 full days since the last time anyone has seen Jason. The police question family, friends, co-workers. They search nearby areas. They bring out cadaver dogs. Nothing. They find absolutely nothing. People hang up flyers. Media outlets share the story. Still, we see nothing. Ghouls, 25 years pass and we still know nothing. Okay, next, I'm going to share a few important facts from the case and the investigation. There is security footage of the school, and we never see Jason arrive on the property. Remember, this is where he was supposed to be meeting Teresa. There's nothing showing he ever made it to that vicinity. We also know his bank account shows no activity. He had like $600, $650 in his account. It's never been touched. He even had a paycheck from his job that was never collected. And remember how his car was at the shop? He never went by to pick it up. He never checked on it. Nothing. We know Jason was a good kid. There were no signs of depression. He wasn't withdrawn or anxious or overly nervous about anything. In fact, he had things to look forward to. He had a job coming up and he was super close to his family, so he wouldn't just leave without a word. What is absolutely insane about all of this? From day one, there's been no evidence. No clues, no indications as to what could have happened. No signs of foul play. No clothing pieces have been found. No personal belongings. No remains. Jason left that day with the clothes he was wearing, his work shirt, and maybe $60. He didn't bother taking his wallet. He didn't bother taking his cell phone. Again, nothing to indicate he was running away. Now, per usual, we do have some theories. Could Jason have left on his own accord? Could he have suffered a medical emergency? Maybe it was a hit and run where the person disposed of the evidence. Maybe he was abducted or part of a trafficking scheme. Before you think too hard on those suggestions, let me remind you of a few things. Jason had a lot to look forward to. Searches were conducted. Hospitals and shelters were called. Nothing was found. And Jason was a big guy. It would have taken quite a bit of effort to kidnap him or attack him. And this was in broad daylight. Remember, 10:45 to 11, that's when he was supposed to be meeting Teresa. This was the middle of the day in a residential neighborhood. with a time span of less than an hour. I mean, really and truly, you're looking at maybe 30 minutes. I want to add a couple more notes that I did find while doing my research. And I did this because of a Reddit user's post. Someone anonymously posted on Reddit that he lived close to Jason's home and he had similar characteristics to him, like his appearance-wise. This person was out walking one day when a car approached him. He didn't recognize the male driver, but the driver offered him a ride. And apparently he was very insistent. After multiple attempts and the Reddit poster continuing to say no, the driver finally pulls away and leaves him alone. We never hear anything more about this story, but maybe this is an indication that there was a predator in the area. Maybe that's what happened to Jason. But so this Reddit story, it got me to thinking, have there been any other similar cases in the area? And according to Google, the answer is no. And Omaha police say that Jason's case is a unique one, a perplexing one. And I think this statement says it best. The reason investigators have never been able to definitively link Jason's case to a pattern or a specific local predator is the logistical impossibility of the crime scene. To abduct a grown 19-year-old man in broad daylight on a busy morning without a single neighbor seeing a struggle or hearing a scream remains an entirely anomalous event in Omaha's history. I couldn't have said it better. I mean, it's absolutely true. The circumstances surrounding Jason's disappearance, it's all just mind-boggling. Now, ghouls, you know how I love to include anything positive that comes out of a case. Well, we have a couple of things to share on this one. In 2003, Jason's parents founded the non-profit organization called Project Jason. This would assist families of missing persons by providing guidance and resources. I actually tried pulling up Project Jason, but it seems like the website is down for some reason. But regardless, it at least was established at one point, was very useful at one point, and I think that's amazing. In 2005, Nebraska passes Jason's Law, which brought us the Nebraska Missing Persons Information Clearinghouse. This means that missing cases will be taken more seriously, regardless of the person's age. Today, this is still an open and active case. Jason's family is still out there wondering what happened to their son. If you have any details or theories, if you have questions or ideas, please reach out. Let's get this case shared. Let's share Jason's story. Don't forget you can connect with us on Instagram, WordPress, Patreon, or any listening platform. We would love to hear from you. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Tune in next week as we learn about the Axeman of New Orleans. Until next time, ghouls, remember, the truth is always hiding in the darkness.